What's up, friends? It is once again Dr. Remy LeBeau, your favorite doctor, the doctor you don't mind visiting, hopefully on a daily basis, with some more awesome X-Men statue action coming at you from the X-Lair, the cure to all your ailments related to not enough exposure to cool-ass X-Men stuff. Yeah! What's up, X-Men fans? Alright, today we have something very special, as always, actually. But something actually somewhat extra special today. This is a custom modern storm that I had converted out of the Storm Museum statue that was released in 2012 um, in her original costume. So let's take a gander at the base here. Um, Originally, there were 1,000 of these made. It was released last year, and it was sculpted by Mike Cusinelli. Um, so Bowen Designs released a an original costume flying pose storm, which I'll be featuring soon, which I have in my classic like 70s X-Men display. Um, and I guess there was enough demand on the part of the fans that they wanted to also get like a museum pose that has her sort of just like standing, but obviously still kind of in like a pose demonstrating her powers, um, but would take up less room maybe in a display, or just for the sake of having more Storm, because the more Storm the better, right? The more Aurora Monroe in your life and my life, the better. That's my motto. Um, so I loved when the original statue was sneaked, when Bone Designs was like showing us like the sculpture and like what was going to come out. But like I was torn because it's really hard to make the decision to get multiple versions of a character in the same costume, given that a, these things are kind of expensive, and B, personally I have a lot of statues already, so that requires more room, and there's always like that line, that fine line that we're always on the cusp of crossing, uh, that converts us from like sensible collectors into like hoarders. And so this was like sort of like a debate that I had in my mind for months, like whether I should get the statue or not. Fortunately, eventually I realized, hey, I could get this statue, and then I could turn it into something else, something more modern, something that would fit into my modern display, because it was missing a storm. A modern storm has not been created. And so I decided I'm going to get this statue, but I'm going to get it converted into a modern design. And so I wanted to get it converted into this design here. This is a Worlds Apart, X-Men Worlds Apart variant cover by J. Scott Campbell. Um, and you can see it's got the colors that were used for the statue, white and black. And I really like this design for Storm. Like, I mean, obviously the modern design for Storm is basically this costume, but it had kind of like the yellow or like gold sort of trim associated with it. And I think the white trim was only used in this limited series. I might be wrong about that. It might have been used elsewhere. I don't remember seeing it elsewhere. I was really happy that it was used here, and so it was enough to inspire me to create this version of Storm as sort of the modern Storm that I would want. Of course, if an actual company was going to produce a modern Storm, I'm sure they would have done more of the gold trim and gone just a little bit more sort of conventional with the design. But fortunately, since I was the guy paying the bills, I was able to say exactly what I wanted, how I wanted it, and this is the result of what I got. Um, so as you can see, I'm going to give her a little twirl. She's beautiful. So most of it is the original statue. It was sculpted by Mike Cusinelli, as I said. Mike Cusinelli did Dazzler. Here's Dazzler. You guys have seen Dazzler in another one of my videos. Um, and a lot of other like really just awesome statues that are just sexy, because he does a great job of like creating a physique, and just like so well crafted overall. Like the facial features are always great, and everything else is great. Um, the Punk Storm that I've actually already featured on my blog, and some of you know about, from just sources outside of that, is actually a variant of this statue as well. So they were both kind of released during the same time, and they both sort of had have like kind of like the master um, like physical sculpt as sort of like the core that was sort of either built up into this version or built up into the Punk Storm statue. So they pretty much have the same face. They're both beautiful, and I'm glad that they were both done at the same time as variants of the Mike Cusinelli sculpt, because the guy's a master of the female form, and created two beautiful statues of one of my favorite characters, and likely one of your favorite characters as well, because she's just so cool. Um, so a few things that need to be said about the process that went into getting the statue done. So I I was a novice at the time that I got this commissioned, and I didn't do enough research about who I was going to use. And the person I wound up using, I'm not going to name his name, but he wound up not being sort of as professional as I thought he was going to be. I've seen work done out there of like of custom statues. You've seen my custom Banshee statue that was done. That was done by John Fitchie. The work I've seen from him and from some other sculptors is usually flawless. Like there's no problems with it whatsoever. It comes out perfect. Like everything is just streamlined and well crafted as something that is professionally produced should be. Um, I didn't do enough research about the guy that did this custom work, although obviously he's talented in the sense that he can, convert one version of a statue into another version of a statue. He doesn't necessarily pay as much attention to the small details as he should, as far as like refining every element of the statue. So I mean, you might not be able to see it here, and you might be able to see it in my photos, but like under the arm, like the point where like the cape connects to like the wristbands, like it's done in such a messy way, and like you can see like sort of like the clay that was used just in a sloppy manner, like kind of just thrown over the wrists, like and not blended into itself, and not sort of sculpted into actual wristbands. And then just throughout it, there's like cracks, like small cracks, um, and just it's all very sloppy. It's all very sloppy work. So as it was actually being done, like the guy would actually send me photos of it, and basically say, "I'm done with the sculpt. I'm ready for paint." And I would be like, wait a minute, look at this part and that part and this part, and those parts aren't done yet. Those parts aren't refined yet. You should smooth them out." And he said, and he would write back and say, "I can't believe you would think that I would actually paint a statue without it being done," even though he told me it was done and ready for paint before I pointed out these flaws. So it became very evident very early on that he was doing a bad job, and there was a point at which he was actually just going to send me the statue back because he felt that I was being like super demanding of him, whereas really I was just asking him to do the job that I had hired him to do, which I expected to be professional. Given that he was charging the same as like John Fitchie charges for like his amazing professionally produced sculpts. Um, so given that he was gonna do that and that he had already done so much, and I didn't want to get into a situation where I had a half completed statue that then I had to find someone else to complete and would have just created a whole mess. I just had him finish it, and he finished it, and I got it, and it's been almost a year now. I think it's been a year actually, and now like I can finally just kind of admire her and love her for what she is, which is what she was intended to be, which is like a modern version of Storm, which makes me happy. But at the time, for months, every time I looked at her, all I could see were the flaws, and it just left a really bad taste in my mouth the entire experience. But fortunately, that time has passed, and all that remains is a very cool modern statue of Storm. Forget the flaws. Let's look at the actual statue. She's beautiful. Um, the base itself is your standard X base. It's a little bit elevated, and originally it had like red cutouts. I had him repaint those into white cutouts in order to sort of match like the color scheme of the statue. And he did, but I mean, you can see like he actually left one part red in there. I don't know if you can see it, but I mean, he actually left the part red. It just demonstrates, it just shows like how unprofessional the guy is, and like, and the statue, like I don't know, it's like dirty, and there's like all sorts of like residue from things that he was probably doing that he just didn't take care to to not let stuff kind of fall on the statue. So there's like kind of spots of stuff on the statue base, which is just whatever. It is what it is. I don't care anymore. I love the statue. Anyway, so beyond that, the boots had to be sculpted. Like before, they had kind of like holes in them, and they didn't have like the white lines at the top, and now they do. And then the costume, which is basically a swimsuit, right? It's like a one piece. Before it was kind of like a two piece, and it has like an exposed navel, and it has like kind of like that gold ring in the middle that connects the top of it to the bottom of it. And he had to like smooth that out and create the rest of the like essentially the swimsuit, and then painted in a glossy black, which he did a good job of. So I mean there is a lot that he did a really great job on. So that's why ultimately on balance I love it. It's a great statue. I'm happy to have it. Um, Unfortunately, enough time has passed that all the bad stuff has gone away. It's dissipated into the nether realms of bad experiences. Um, so the costume, like the cape, as you can see, it's like black glossy. I forget if he actually repainted this, but he had to like, connect it to parts where it wasn't connected before. So I mean, some of it's sloppy, of course, but beyond the sloppy, like he actually, what needed to be done got done. So you've got like the cape coming up over her shoulders and becoming kind of like the straps that kind of converge on the center of her chest, and that looks really cool. I really love that aspect of the costume. And then of course you've got kind of like that kind of like that gem that she has always between her breasts. And we found like a particular bead that was able to just be glued onto there. So that actually wasn't sculpted. It's like a bead that was found and just glued onto there. So that's why it looks really good. And then of course the rest of it is just like black glossy for the cape that matches the swimsuit and the boots, and it all looks very nice. It looks really elegant, and you can see like the light reflecting off of it looks really nice. So I'm really happy about that. It just looks great. It's a really nice look for Storm, and it just the conversion, although not perfect, complements the statue itself really nicely. So the statue itself, again created by Mike Cusinelli, it just it, it's such a great base for a conversion. It just worked really well, and it came out really nicely. Um, so I think he had to expose a lot of the neckline. It wasn't there, and he had to like kind of sculpt in a little bit of hair that wasn't there either. But the majority of the face and the hair is all the original sculpt, and you can see like with the Dazzler statue, Mike Cusinelli did such a great job with the hair. It's just so dynamic, just got so many curves in it, and just like curls, and it's just like full and flowing, and again it just reflects like such a great approach and like focus on attention to detail that Mike Cusinelli does, that a great sculptor does, and it just winds up making the statue be great rather than just like it's all right. This is an amazing statue. Of course, this is the original sort of like the head like the head thing that she wears. I don't know what it's called, but it's super cool. I love it. And the face is the same as always, beautiful. I think I have a close up of it in my blog. And it's very similar again to the Punk Storm face because it is basically the same statue. So beyond just the element of like a bad experience, which is a good lesson to you guys. If you're going to do a custom piece, you need to do your research. Like you need to make sure that the person you're going to use actually has done a good job in the past. Maybe even has some references. Um, before you commission them to do it, because like this cost me like $300 or $400 to do, beyond just paying for the statue. And that's a lot, that's enough money where you need to get your money's worth, and you need to get the quality of a final product that you expect to from paying that much money. Um, uh, you've seen my Banshee statue, perfection. That's what you should look for. If you are looking to do a commission, it is John Fitchie who you should hire. Check out my blog post for my Banshee custom statue, and there I have the contact information for John Fitchie. So the guy's super busy, but you can get in the queue or whatever, and eventually maybe he'll be able to have some time to do whatever you need him to do. Because the guy does an amazing job. If he had done this for me, this would have been flawless, and I would have been more than happy. But I am again very happy because nobody has done a Modern Storm. Nobody is planning to do a Modern Storm. So I have a Modern Storm in my Modern X-Men collection display, and she works really well, and I'm super happy with her. Again, Storm is just a legendary character in the X-Men canon of characters. She is a lot of the heart of the X-Men, a lot of what sort of makes the X-Men special, and she deserves all the attention that we as fans can give her. So I was like, it just made perfect sense that I would, put in that extra effort and those extra resources into getting like a unique version of Storm done, and I would do it again. In fact, I will do it again in the future. I'm really liking this new design of Storm with the new mohawk and the new X outfit that she has for Uncanny X Force Volume 2. So I don't know. I mean, a look for a character that I would feel warrants like a custom treatment needs to be around for a while before being done. Because if not, then it kind of loses its significance and becomes kind of superfluous and a little bit just a little bit excessive if in terms of just getting customs done. Like there has to be a special significance to what's being done, I think. And for me, I needed a Modern Storm. I really like this costume, and it's very similar to the costume she's had the last 10 years, so it works for me. But if it's a costume that's only going to be around for like a year or two, that's not necessarily going to warrant the kind of attention that a custom warrants. Um, but if this new look endures for like 5 years, I'm going for it. I think I really like that the new look she has, and I think it's just because I really love Storm, and any way that she's represented in like a different and new way, it works for me because she's just such a great character, and I fell in love with her when I was a kid, so that love has not wavered, like, and it never will. Like, I'm super happy that she's going to be in X-Men Days of Future Past. I like Halle Berry as Storm. I just feel like it hasn't been done correctly yet, but maybe in this upcoming movie it will be. And again, we're going to get some cinematic quality representation of a character that we all love. Um, and it's just going to make us even more satisfied as X fans and big fans of Storm. And hallelujah to hallelujah as far as like just good X-Men Storm, offerings, be they films or cartoons or statues or just more comics, more stories, the more Storm the better, right? The more Storm the better. Anyway, that's the end of my little Storm rant, and that's the end of my video in regards to this very beautiful custom piece of Storm. All the flaws aside, beautiful custom piece of Storm. Thank you for checking out the video. Thank you for checking out my blog, X-Men Statues of Future Past .blogspot.com. Thank you for checking out my YouTube channel, Dr. Remy LeBeau, also known as Dr. Remy LeBeau's X-Lair. And as always, X in the box because ain't nobody checking me. I'll catch you all very soon. Take care of yourselves. Thank you again. Bye-bye.